Only the most devastating storms have their names retired. On October 24, 1998, Tropical Storm Mitch became a Category 5 hurricane with winds topping 180 miles per hour. In just 5 short days, 4 years' worth of rain fell over the country of Honduras. The besiege of water, stones, wreckage, and mud took out more than 80 villages, 114 bridges were washed away, and 140 highways destroyed. The massiveness of the destruction made it unmanageable for rescue workers and government authorities. As Mitch stepped its way across Honduras, plantations of sugarcane, melon, and grain, along with the shrimp and livestock industry, suffered incalculable damage. It completely terminated the economy of the southern region, leaving the country's economy suffering a loss of millions of dollars. When Hurricane Mitch drifted off the eastern coastline toward Belize on November 1st, Hondurans were left to mourn more than 7,000 of its sons and daughters who were left dead, and begin the desperate search for the 11,000 missing family members. These figures are staggering. Yet each of these numbers reflects individuals, families, and whole communities permanently affected by this calamity. Erasing the footprints of Hurricane Mitch would require determination and hope. It would require those of us blessed with financial resources to move beyond our own personal borders and reach out to our neighbors in Central America. It would require the immediate and long-term action of an organization known for its selfless service to those in need. Honduras is the second largest country in Central America, covering over 43,000 square miles. Roughly the size of the state of Tennessee and nestled between Nicaragua, El Salvador, and Guatemala. Over 80% of Honduras is mountain terrain. 5 million people reside here, with over 50% of the population under the age of 18. Immediately following the departure of Hurricane Mitch, the Salvation Army World Service Office, or SAWSO, sent an assessment team to Honduras. Traveling by foot or by horse, the assessment team visited numerous communities, determining how they could best be of service in the disaster relief efforts.
The first project we did was to do an assessment of what was really needed, how many homes were destroyed. And we're not working on the roadside, but we were working in the interior. So it took heavy travel by some of our volunteers that went into the interior to meet with communities to find out exactly how many homes were destroyed, how many people were affected, and from that information gathered back from the various areas we visited, we determined that our best start would be to help rebuild some of the homes that were destroyed.
With the help of the Honduran government's emergency committee and the information gathered, the assessment team determined that southern Honduras was the neediest area of the country, getting the least amount of help from relief agencies. Team members ascertained that most relief agencies were helping only those communities close to the main road that traveled south out of the capital of Tegucigalpa. Therefore, the Salvation Army decided to focus their attention on the communities located in the backcountry of southern Honduras. With four-wheel drive trucks, traveling sometimes 2 hours into the interior of Honduras over mountainous terrain, the disaster relief team began the process of determining what each community needed. As in the United States, when a major disaster strikes, the initial need was shelter. Homes were destroyed by mudslides, by torrential rains, crumbling the modest earthen-made structures, and by floodwaters washing homes off their foundations. In just over 2 years, the Salvation Army has built over 350 new homes made of superior local materials and have moved many homes to higher ground and away from potential future flooding and landslides. One such community is Rio Chiquito. Partnering with the Salvation Army, who provided the building supplies, the local Catholic Church donated land so its parishioners could rebuild their homes on higher ground.
Gracias al Ejército de Salvación que desde el principio
I'm thankful to the Salvation Army.
son los primeritos que han
They have
llegado a
been
la
the
casa
first to
coral.
come,
Me acuerdo de los buenos amigos
and they've
para
been good
decir,
friends from the
"¿Qué
beginning."
hacemos juntos?"
Once the initial work began, the SAWSO team discovered that there were other needs, unique to each community, which needed to be addressed. Community leaders began approaching the Salvation Army, requesting help with water and sanitation, erecting improved cook stoves, bridge and road construction, and agriculture rejuvenation. This good reception from community leaders gave the Salvation Army the opportunity to focus in on the unique needs of the people and create a reconstruction plan tailored to each village.
Well, I think one of the most interesting aspects of the work of SAWSO is that we work only with communities. We will not start a project or do a project unless we have total community involvement.
We never answer right away. We always go to the community, see if what they are asking for is really a big need for all community. And after we decide that we're going to do the project, then we have a meeting with all community, not only the leaders, but also all them. And then we explain how Salvation Army works, that we never do projects and completely without community participations.
And we would come back every day, or at least every other day, to inspect, to make sure that progress was being made. And the burden was upon the people and the community themselves to help themselves in that community.
SAWSO provided the building materials and, if needed, a skilled professional in the field of engineering or water and sanitation construction. Each community provided the labor. In addition, the Salvation Army, in partnership with the World Food Organization, developed a Food for Work program, which gave villagers much-needed food supplies in exchange for their labor of reconstructing their community. It was quickly apparent that the communities began to take ownership of their projects. Residents not only built their own homes or laid their own water system, but also sought to help those single-parent families, handicapped, and elderly people who were not able to do the manual labor. An example is the Garcia family in the village of Obrajuelo. Santiago and his two sisters, Guadalupe and Maria, live on the outskirts of their village in a mountainous area. During the dry season, they had to walk over 3 miles to obtain water at the nearest river. With all three in their 80s, they were not able to do the heavy labor of laying water pipes. So the community gathered together and laid almost 2,000 feet of pipe, so the Garcias, for the first time in their lives, could have running water. For Guadalupe, she claims, "The Salvation Army has given me life." Another example of a community working together is that of the people of Chocolate. Partnering with the Peace Corps, who conducted the topographical study and design of the water system, and the Salvation Army, who financed the project, this small community of 54 homes worked over 7 months to get running water to their village.
There was no water the side of the mountain of this community, and so we had to take water from the other side of the mountain, do a 6-kilometer loop almost around through a mountain pass, and then make it down to this community. And I think by the end of the project, every person had worked an equivalent of 75 hours, but I don't believe this includes the 2-month topographical study. Many of the people in the community before had to walk as far as 2 kilometers to get fresh water, and it was usually bucket water from wells or even from the river, which wouldn't pass any health standard test.
The water and sanitation projects that the Salvation Army World Service Office has sponsored and managed totals 6 community water systems, benefiting 164 households and 1,057 latrines built in more than 45 communities. Over 350 homes have been built, 75% of which are located in remote rural areas of southern Honduras, where the Salvation Army was the only source of aid. As the months went by following Hurricane Mitch's departure, it became obvious to the Salvation Army that their service to the people of Honduras needed to be expanded and their presence in the country extended. Communities were seeking assistance in bridge construction and road repair, as well as classroom reconstruction and kitchen repairs in local schools. Though bridge construction was not SAWSO's expertise, team members agreed to work with community leaders and a professional engineer to build a bridge. That first attempt was such a success, people in other communities came to the Salvation Army for similar assistance. Since then, 6 bridges have been built in remote communities who, since Hurricane Mitch, have had no access to the outside world during the rainy season without traveling long distances over mountainous terrain. No longer isolated, these communities now have constant access to food and household supplies, medical aid, and its children can continue to attend school. As Hurricane Mitch traveled across Honduras, its footsteps also destroyed many roads that gave some communities their only connection to the main thoroughfare into the capital, Tegucigalpa. Using the Food for Work arrangement, road reconstruction projects were completed in more than 40 Honduran communities. More than 140,000 pounds of food were distributed in support of local road repair. With 50% of the population of Honduras under the age of 18, a vital part of SAWSO's service was aimed at several schools throughout southern Honduras. Completed work includes a new school water system, several newly erected classrooms, new classroom furniture, repaired latrines, and reconstructed kitchens. Newly improved cook stoves were also installed in many homes within these communities. Using superior local materials, a new adobe stove with a stovepipe keeps the environment inside the homes clean and healthy and reduces the chance of accidental fire. With only 15% of Honduras' total land area suitable for crops, agricultural producers lost what little was planted when Hurricane Mitch devastated the country. The economic base of whole villages was swept away by floodwaters and landslides. Along with this potential income went people's ability to simply feed their own families. The SAWSO team went into action by creating a comprehensive agricultural program to assist families in reestablishing their farms. Juan Diego Sanchez, a knowledgeable local leader and an agronomist, helped the Salvation Army make contact with community leaders to create a seed distribution network to get superior seed directly into the hands of the people.
It was very important because after the hurricane, the people here didn't have any seed. So now they have improved varieties of seed, such as sorghum, corn, beans, and bananas. We had small producer leaders, and they were given a certain amount of pounds of seeds. They gave different amounts based on need to the different producers in the community. Once they harvest the crop, then, in turn, they give the seed to other farmers in the community.
Soil conservation and retention techniques were also taught, and tree nurseries were established. Educational sessions were held for farmers that consisted of hands-on experience and theoretical knowledge. A particularly unique service centered on setting up small family gardens with women in each community.
Tuvimos varios grupos de mujeres trabajando en diferentes actividades. Una de ellas, huertos familiares.
We started with a small group of women. They had their farms, and they received seed for different types of beans and for bananas so that they would be able to have produce to sell and food for their families.
15,000 pounds of improved seed have been distributed in 25 communities. Over 10,000 feet of new terraced soil retention walls have been constructed, and over 13,000 feet of existing walls rebuilt. 150 women have been trained and given seed to start family gardens. 31,000 trees have been grown and planted through the tree nurseries and distribution program to help reduce soil erosion and produce wood and fruit.
We could have sent a team in to build 100 houses and build a bridge or so, and that would have been it, but there would have been no community involvement. And I think the achievements that we made would make the donor who gave the smallest gift to the largest amount very proud of what the Salvation Army World Service Office has done with communities in Honduras.
Well, Salvation Army is I think it's a great organization. I am a Honduran. I am very grateful that they decided to come here and do what we have done here. It's like all the reconstruction projects was done directly to the beneficiary, to the people who are in need.
Y para mí significa también un grupo que de verdad ama a Honduras.
For me, they have been people who have loved Honduras and have worked with the people. They have been an example and have worked together with the community to make it better.
Han metido nuestra gente al trabajo.
The Salvation Army's work was very important because without the Salvation Army, there wouldn't be any of these family gardens, there wouldn't be any improved cook stoves, and the people wouldn't have acquired any of this knowledge to improve their lives. Other projects really didn't work in remote areas, so the people wouldn't have received anything.
The Salvation Army went directly from their own organization to the needed people.
Es símbolo de trabajo.
They are a symbol of work. It's plain to see the energy, the volunteerism. They are a symbol of work.
Thank you to the donors in the United States of America, in large cities and small towns. Thank you for your donations in the wake of Hurricane Mitch, helping the Salvation Army's work in Honduras. Thank you to the Salvation Army's World Services Organization for its tremendous assistance to the Latin America North Territory in Pespiri, in Honduras, and for the great work of reconstruction which has been done. And thank you again to all the donors who have secured the Salvation Army's position in Honduras. It's now a legal entity. And thank you too for securing the Salvation Army's place in San Pedro Sula, Honduras.
Estoy cantando mis canciones al ejército de salvación. Ellos les gusta mi modo de cantar, también les gusta mi modo de tocar. Yo estoy agradecido, yo estoy agradecido. Por eso, amigo, no me canso de cantar. Y yo le canto al ejército de salvación. Son bien amigos y los vienen a ayudar.